In this video, you'll learn all about Emacs's directory editing mode. This powerful feature lets you quickly organize your files and folders. You'll be able to find and select specific files from a complex project structure. Then you can review your selection before performing literally any command that you want. And best of all, you can do this all without ever leaving Emacs. Once you've learned everything in this video, you might never open the terminal again. All right, let's dive in, starting with the basic movement commands. To launch Dured mode, press Ctrl+X, Ctrl+J to open the default directory of the current buffer. If the buffer holds a file, it will open its parent directory. You can also press Ctrl+X, D and pass in a directory as the argument. The Emacs find file command will also open Dured if it's passed a directory. Now, what you see in this buffer is the output of a specific ls command designed for Dured processing. You can redisplay the buffer with new listing flags using Ctrl+U+S. Let's add the -- full-time flag. If you want to permanently update the listing flags, you can customize the variable Dured listing switches. Pressing the S key toggles between sorting alphabetically and sorting by timestamp. You can also toggle hiding and showing the details using the open paren. To go up and down, you can use Ctrl+N and Ctrl+P like usual. You can also just use N or space to move forward. Use P to go backwards. Backspace goes backwards too, but it will remove any flags or marks on the file. More about flags and marks later in the video. To visit a file, hit return. The F and E keys will also open the file. You can create a new file using Ctrl+X, Ctrl+F. If you want to see a file in a new window, press O. This selects the new window so you can edit the file right away. If you want to stay within the Dured buffer, you can use Ctrl+O. Press V if you want to open the file in view mode. If you hit return on a directory, it opens up a new Dured buffer for that directory. Press the caret key to go up one level. If you have many files, you can search for them using Ctrl+S. By default, this searches all of the text in the buffer. If you want to search for only file names, you can use meta-S, F, Ctrl+S. Or an easier method is to customize the Dured iSearch file names variable to either DWIM for do what I mean, which limits the search to file names if the Emacs point is already on a file, or set it to true to always search for just file names. Another powerful feature of Dured is the ability to see many directories at once in the same buffer. So instead of pressing return to open the directory in a new buffer, you can press I to list the subdirectory in the current Dured buffer. This sets the Emacs mark before moving, so you can use Ctrl+U, Ctrl+Space to return to your previous position. Let's open a few more subdirectories. To navigate quickly across subdirectories, you can use Ctrl+Meta-N and Ctrl+Meta-P to move to the next and previous subdirectories, regardless of level. Ctrl+Meta-U goes up a level, and Ctrl+Meta-D goes down a level. The less than and greater than keys move between directories listed along with the files rather than the header lines. If a directory has many files, you can toggle whether to hide or show the files with the $, and meta $ toggles all of the directories. Lastly, you can use Meta-Shift-G to go to the header line of a specific directory. One thing I want to note is that Ctrl+X, Ctrl+F isn't aware of the subdirectories and instead uses the default directory, which is a top-level directory of this Dured buffer. This can be changed with some elisp so that Ctrl+X, Ctrl+F uses the subdirectory where your point is. I'll share a link in the description. Now that we've seen how to move around within Dured, I'll show you how to actually start modifying your system. First, I must warn you that Dured is a very powerful tool, and if you're not careful, you can quickly and permanently delete many files from your system. Emacs provides some reasonable safety measures, but these only help so much, and it is possible to work around them. So please be aware of what you're doing and practice in a temp directory while you're still learning. To help ease this concern a bit, you can use the delete by moving to trash variable, which moves files to the system's trash folder instead of deleting them outright. With that out of the way, let's proceed. To flag files for deletion, press D, which highlights the line red and shows the character D at the beginning of the line. If you want to remove the flag, press backspace. U also removes the deletion flag and goes forward one line. Once you have marked the correct files for deletion, press X to actually delete the files. Emacs will ask for confirmation and show you the list of files for your review. If you type yes, the files will be permanently deleted, so be careful. I don't want to do that, so I'll type no, which goes back to the DIRED buffer with the deletion flags still intact. You can also flag many files at once using a regex. For example, maybe you don't like files with the number 5 in them, so press %d and then type in the regex that you want. And now let's go ahead and delete them. Directories can be deleted just like files, but normally DIRED cannot delete non-empty directories. This behavior can be changed, but check the manual for the specific flag. I don't want to be responsible for any recursively deleted directories. In DIRED terminology, the term flagging files is specifically for the deletion operation, whereas the term marking files lets you perform arbitrary operations on the selected files. To mark a file with an asterisk, use the M key. You can mark all executable files with ***. Symbolic links can be selected with *@, and directories can be selected with */. You can mark all files in the current subdirectory with *s. You can mark files with the character other than the asterisk by using the *c command. Let's mark some files with the M key. So we press *c, enter in the current mark that we want to change. Here that'll be asterisk. And then change those to the new mark, which we'll use M. You can unmark files with the U key, and use Shift-U to remove marks and flags from all files. Be careful, this undoes all the work you've done marking and flagging specific files. However, if you do accidentally unmark everything, you can just use the usual undo commands to get them back. As the echo area warns you, the undo commands cannot undo file changes, only changes in the DIRED buffer. Similar to flagging, we can mark using a regex with either %m, or we can also use %. %g acts similarly, but searches the contents of the file rather than the file name. To move between marked files, use meta open brace and meta closed brace. Furthermore, you can toggle marked and unmarked files using T. Note that this ignores anything with a mark other than the asterisk. Now that we're familiar with how to mark any file that we like, let's see what actions we can take on the marked files. Use + to create a new directory. And then you can use the C command to copy files into a new directory. You must input a directory. If it doesn't exist, DIRED will give you a warning. Set the variable DIRED create destination dirs to always, which will always create the directory, or set it to ask to prompt each time. Another option is to set both this variable and the DIRED create destination dirs on trailing dirsep to non-nil values, which will create the directory if your input ends with the /. You can use D to delete the marked files. Note that D deletes marked files, whereas X deletes flagged files. Pressing E opens marked files using a program determined by system conventions. Use R to rename the marked files. If a single file is marked, it just renames the file. If multiple files are marked, the files are moved into the directory that you pass in. The same two variables that control the copy behavior work for rename as well. You can use capital H, S, or Y, respectively, to make hard, symbolic, or relative links for the marked files. Pressing capital M, G, or O, respectively, changes the mode spec, group, or owner bits of the marked files. You can use capital A to search all marked files for a given regex. This also searches files within marked subdirectories. This command is a variant of xref find references, so you can use the commands from xref if you're familiar with them. Use Q to perform a regex replace on the marked files. Similar to A, the Q replacement is a variant of the xref query replace in results, so you can use commands from xref if you're familiar. In addition to the preset commands, you can perform an arbitrary shell command using either exclamation point or ampersand. Exclamation executes the command synchronously, so Emacs is blocked while the script runs, whereas ampersand runs the commands asynchronously. To operate on the marked files, use a question mark to iterate the command once for each file, or star to expand the file names before giving them to the command. If neither star or question are given, the command will run once on each file. Ampersand normally runs the commands in parallel, but if you terminate with a semicolon, the commands are run sequentially but asynchronously. You can test this with the following example. When running shell commands, the working directory is the top-level directory of the Dured buffer. Note that these commands do not update the Dured buffer, so use G afterward to see any changes from your command. You can also use a regex to perform rename, copy, and linking operations on marked files. Let's see how to rename using a regex. Press %R, and then input the regex to rename from, and the regex to rename to. Now we can also rename them back like this. This works similarly for copy and linking operations. Additionally, you can uppercase or lowercase the file names using %L or %U. Dured integrates with the find command to provide an extremely useful staging area to review your selection before issuing commands. Let's start by using metax find name Dured, passing in a directory, and then the regex to filter specific files. This opens up the matched files in a new Dured buffer, so you can review them before taking action. Similar to find name Dured, there's also the find grep Dured function, which searches the file contents instead of the file names. Note that find name Dured uses the shell wildcard syntax, and find grep Dured uses grep regexs syntax. For the most flexibility, you can use the find Dured function, which accepts any condition that the find command can test. One of my favorite modes is Writable Dured mode, which lets you edit the text directly in the buffer, and then performs the necessary commands to perform the changes you made. Press Ctrl-X, Ctrl-Q to enter Writable Dured mode, and Ctrl-C, Ctrl-C when finished to write your changes. As an example, we can rename files, or move them to a new directory. You can also change the permission bits if you set the wdured allow to change permissions variable. Let's press Ctrl-C, Ctrl-C to finish the changes. All right, that's it for our tour of Emacs's directory editing mode. I hope you learned a lot and are one step closer to using Emacs as your new operating system. If you learned something new, please consider liking the video and leave a comment if you have any feedback or questions. I truly appreciate all of your input. It helps guide me to create more helpful content. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to get notified of the latest videos. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching.